Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, Alan. Welcome to our Wednesday night Broadway Besties podcast live.
Welcome. I am Alan Seals.
And I'm John Zaytoon.
And this is, of course, a live podcast recording of a Broadway podcast network original called Broadway Besties. And we are very, very excited to share this Wednesday evening with you. But before we get started with real life Broadway best friends, Kristin Chenoweth and Ilana Levine, I want to remind everyone to please support the Actors Fund if you can. I'm going to pop up a little banner here. There we go. So, little banner with instructions, and we're trying to use this podcast as a platform to further support our onstage and offstage heroes. There are many, many people out of work in the industry, and they could use your support today if you are able.
And to further support the Actors Fund, we're offering one lucky winner a chance to win a signed original playbill from You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, the show that our two guests met on today. To enter, simply share a screenshot of your Actors Fund donation to feedback@bpn.fm, and the person with the highest donation at the end will win the playbill. To donate, also, you can visit bpn.fm/donate. If you'd like to ask a question throughout this live podcast event, you can text the word question to 63566, and either Alan or myself can incorporate it.
That's right. And we are thrilled to be joined today by real-life best friends Kristin Chenoweth and Ilana Levine. Emmy and Tony award-winning actress and singer Kristin Chenoweth has wowed audiences in Broadway shows like Wicked, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, On the 20th Century, Promises, Promises, and so much more. And in 2009, Kristin received an Emmy Award for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series for her role on Pushing Daisies, one of my personal favorites, gotta say. And when Kristin is not delighting audiences on Broadway or on TV, she's traveling the world performing to sold-out audiences, including prestigious venues like Carnegie Hall and Royal Albert Hall.
We're also so excited to welcome one of my favorite people in this industry today, Ilana Levine. On Broadway, Ilana is best known to musical theater fans for her comedic turn as Lucy in the Broadway revival of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, hence the playbill giveaway. She was also seen in Broadway productions of Jake's Women, Wrong Mountain, and The Last Night of Ballyhoo. Ilana has appeared in countless films and television shows, including Seinfeld, Divorce, Law and Order, Failure to Launch, The Nanny Diaries, and so much more. When she's not performing, Ilana is hosting her hit weekly podcast series called Little Known Facts with Ilana Levine. Little Known Facts features intimate and hilarious conversations with today's most successful artists working in film, television, and on Broadway. Without further ado, we'd love to welcome Kristin Chenoweth and Ilana Levine to the podcast.
Yay!
Hi,
Applause,
guys.
applause, applause.
Hi.
So
Hi, Kristin.
let's kick things off and just tell everybody how you two actually met.
Gosh, I was trying to think today about the very first moment. Well, I'll just lead off. I met Kristin by watching her be brilliant in a musical at Lincoln Center called A New Brain. And I was sitting with my friend, and I'll just name drop for this one moment just because it was Cynthia Nixon. And so it doesn't matter what I think. I'm telling this story. The point is what Cynthia Nixon thought. And the two of us were sitting there, and we turned to each other when Kristin came out on stage in a small but brilliant role. And we were like, who is that person? That person is the most sparkly, brilliant, her voice, her talent. Every time she came on stage, we were riveted, and we had not seen, was it Steel Piers, Kristin? Was that the other show you had already done? For whatever reason, we had missed that. So she was brand new to us, and we're watching this Bill Finn musical, and we were both gobsmacked. And afterwards, Cynthia and I were like, let's go meet her. And then literally we were too shy. We were like, we can't. What would we say? We would not be able to put a sentence together. And then I got cast in the show. And when I told Cynthia, who was in it, she was just like, it happened. We wished for it. We wished for it. So that's my first memory of her. And then we started working together.
And we walked in the door, and we had our Michael Mayer, our director, had set up like, books and hats of who was going to play who. And I wasn't sure who I was going to be playing yet. I thought I was going to be playing Patty. All the girls of the amalgamation that weren't Lucy. And so I looked and I sat down and it was like Sally, all this Sally stuff. And I sat down and I was next to Lucy. And I looked at Ilana and I go, I guess I'm playing Sally. And she goes, it's going to be so fun. And it just, we were instantaneous, just
in love.
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she would come to me and she'd be like, listen, I've got to get a new pair of shoes on tour. If I don't, I'm going to go crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I would come to her and be like, listen, I got to get out. I got to go to dinner. I got to do something different. We were just those two girls. If we could have roomed together, we probably would have.
Well, I want to explain that because before we came to Broadway, we did an out of town, like an old fashioned out of town tryout of this show. And I had never, I mean, we'll get into this later. I'd never done a musical. And the only reason I was in this musical at all in any way that was working was because Kristin Chenoweth was my personal vocal coach and music coach and support system and blood transfusions, like anything I needed to get through. She warmed me up every night, like no joke. And I've said this before. I had never been in a musical before. It's not like I wrote one on my resume and lied about it. Like everybody knew there was going to be this girl in this show that might need a little extra support.
But there was no other choice. That was the Lucy. That was Lucy. Ilana was nobody. There was no other choice.
As it turned out. But I had also never toured before, and I remember Kristin and Kim Grigsby, our musical director and then conductor, were roommates, and I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I didn't know you could do that, and they were like, you have to save your money. Like, you don't know. Maybe it's going to Broadway and maybe it's not. Things happen. I was like, you mean they can say something's going to Broadway and it won't? Like, I was so naive about this entire thing. And I was like asking Anthony Rapp to room with me. And he was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to roommate. He had done Rent. He wasn't worried at that moment about his financial security. But I learned so much, not just about being in a musical, but sort of how you pace yourself in humility and don't have an expectation just because they say something's happening. Anything can happen along the way. And so she taught me so many things, but we really did. Like, we would hit every mall, and in Delaware, I think it was tax free.
Delaware. It was Delaware.
So that was like, we were almost late to the show constantly because it was all tax-free shopping and we had never heard of such a thing before. So all of the money she saved rooming with the brilliant Kimberly Grigsby by Delaware was done.
It was done.
Yes.
Done. And we also worked out. We would get up, remember, and we'd go down to the gym and we'd work out before the show. Yeah.
And you and me and BD, there were a lot of meals together at that time, and one of the most special things that happened, and BD has since written a book about it, so I'm not speaking out of school, is he told us that he and his partner at the time were trying to have a baby, and that baby just started NYU, by the way.
We can't even understand how that happened.
But just being on that ride also, where this person you love is exploring with were BD and Richie married then? I can't remember if they were married or they were married.
They were married and they were having that baby.
Yeah. And so that was a whole sort of, if the show was the A story in the series of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, this B story was every stop, like figuring out, where could he get to a lab to do donations. I mean, there was a lot going on. And we were so happy for our little brother. Yes, because Kristen Sally was madly in love with Linus, and Linus was my brother. So there was a trinity of us three that was really special.
Were together a lot. We were together a lot. Do you remember when we went to lunch and that lady came up to BD and she goes, oh, DB, I loved you in Golden Child.
It was like,
I'm BD and I was in Butterfly.
Right. But other than that, could you bring bread?
Oh, yeah. But other than that, could you bring some? I said, she got your name and your show wrong. He goes, Kristin, it's going to happen to you all the time. And you just let people, you just be nice. And I was like, but she called you DB and said you were in Golden Child. I just couldn't believe it. Because in my mind, he was so famous. You know?
Of course. He was, I mean, from what was the movie that he did with Martin Short, where he's the father of the bride. He got recognized a lot. Now Mr. Robot and a million other things. He's blown up. But I had a thing like that happen. I was doing a little film with Patti LuPone. We were shooting in Staten Island. It was very exciting for me to be shooting with Patti LuPone. And this woman came up to her and was like, Patti, can you sign my album? I have loved you. My mother took me to all your concerts. I am obsessed with you. And Patti looked down at the woman's album cover and she was like, are you sure you want me to sign this? She's like, yes. And I've even brought a pen. And if you could write it to Lila, it would mean the world to me. And she's like, you want me to sign this album cover? And Patti LuPone took the album cover, held it next to her head. It was a picture of Patti LaBelle. And she said, I want you to look at this album and I want you to look at me. And you want me to sign it? And she was like, oh, Patti, I've waited my whole life. So you just have to say, thank you. I'm so glad you loved Golden Child. With me, if I loved you on Golden Girls. Oh, Miss Arthur. Miss Arthur, I love you.
I know. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
People will say, oh, you were great on, what's that Jessie show?
Jessie?
No.
The Disney show?
It was, Jamie Lee Presley played the part. They thought it was
I wish we could phone a friend.
Oh, can we phone a friend?
If anybody knows, drop it in the comments.
Georgia, if you're watching, help a girl out.
Jamie Lee Curtis, what she won the Emmy for.
Presley or
not Presley, Jamie Presley. Anyway, I was like, I wasn't in that show. They're like, we don't care. Will you sign it anyway? I was like, but I wasn't there. I wasn't.
My name is Earl.
My name is Earl.
Maybe you get to win this because you I have told
Joy
a lot
Charter.
of people, and the thing that was really amazing, and Kristin was in it, so she couldn't quite observe herself during the process of watching someone you love go from loving what she did and bringing more to it than any other human I'd ever known. Kristin's discipline, her voice, of course, the fact that voice came out of, you can see how little she looks right now in this video. She's tiny. And her voice is that of like the greatest operatic singer. We know that she's had that training, but it really is an astonishing thing to be next to her when that voice comes out of her pint-sized magnificence. And the thing that I watched happen as we were doing that show is this person that I will hearken back that Cynthia and I thought we discovered earlier in her performance in the Bill Finn musical at Lincoln Center. The whole world was realizing that this was kind of a once in a lifetime, lightning in a bottle, unbelievable fusion of actress and part. And then when Andrew wrote My New Philosophy, which he brought in one day, and sort of elevated what she described at the beginning was all of the girls that weren't Lucy. By writing that song, not only did Sally kind of solidify in terms of her character, not being a lot of other girls, but very specifically the marriage of Kristin's acting talent, comedic skills, and voice. And that song is part of every young person's audition, book. But to watch the world fall in love with this person that you love so much and to watch her handle this onslaught of attention. And it was a very teeny ensemble show. So she also had to navigate like being so sensitive to our feelings about it. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever shared, to watch someone take on something really intense with so much grace. And Kristin, you know, you can speak to it from your perspective, but that's sort of, I was talking to Tim Busfield today, who was in Brighton Beach Memoirs when Matthew Broderick did it years ago. And we were talking about what it is to watch someone arrive. And you haven't stopped, girl.
Well, and neither have you really. I mean, we've both just keep on keeping on. And one of the greatest memories that I have, and that I thought all besties were like this. You know, I viewed us as a team, and I wanted us to all be together always. And you know, we won the Tony, and a week later we
Closed.
Closed. And we were so bummed out. You know?
Cheers.
Cheers.
What?
Cheers.
But they loved. Oh, okay.
Yeah, crap. They're gone.
Okay.
Too late.
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that I'll never forget in my entire life, I tell it all the time, is when I was backstage, I had to sing we sang together as a company, and then they did the category that was the best supporting actress, the one I was up for. And if I won, I didn't want to go out there as the 5-year-old, you know, patted down. I wanted to look like
an curls. Yeah.
And I wanted to do a change, and Rosie said, I'll get you a dresser. And we did a 14-second change, I think. And when I won, so I was all dressed and ready to go. And I thought, well, this will give a new meaning to all dressed up and ready to go if you don't win. But when they call my name, I still get emotional about it. When they call my name, I hear Ilana scream from her gut, like from the lowest of her belly, just like this blood-curdling scream out of sheer happiness for me. And so rare in our business do you have a friend. I mean, friends love you and they're happy for you, but to have that, I knew that my sister was so happy for me. I'd never had that. I'd never had that.
Right.
It meant everything to me in the world. And, you know, I think that had a lot to do for me while we only had a week left, we've remained so close.
Yeah.
We were together all the time. And we're just.
Yeah. I mean, people who know us know that I'm Laverne and she's Shirley, and I don't know the day that started, but every text that we write to each other starts with Laverne or Shirl, every audio message, whatever, because we are the Schlemiel and Schlemazel.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, the part of the joy of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, I have yet to meet a person who loves musical theater who wasn't one of those characters in their school, let alone whether they've done it in a professional way. There's not a human on the planet. Alan, who did you play?
I was Snoopy.
Right. So,
Yeah.
John, did you do Charlie?
I wasn't in that production. No, I wish I was.
Well, you are the one person.
I am the one person. I just didn't want to say it.
Well, life isn't over yet, my friend.
Exactly. That's right. And I feel like there is something about that show that is so special. The music, and the unique thing about and my point is, it's just 6 people, and so we became carrying a big show with a big message of love and acceptance, and not just acceptance of each other, but acceptance of who we are, and forgiveness. And when that show ends with Anthony with Charlie Brown as Mark Cohen, looking at me, you know, and I got to say, "You're a good man, Charlie Brown," and that's all any of us want, is to feel understood, and that was really this beautiful message. It's the center of that show. But I was just going to say that any win for anyone in that production really felt like this incredible.
It was for all of us.
Yeah. But the other thing that part of what built Sally and built all of our characters is the other thing that happened early on in that rehearsal process is Michael Mayer had permission from the Charles Schulz, the author of the Peanuts characters, for us to recreate the book of this musical. And so we spent maybe almost the first week in this very unique position of going through volume after volume after volume of every comic strip ever written for the Peanuts, and we could choose our dialogue. We could kind of piece together the play. So we also felt such ownership of it because we kind of helped write this new version of the show.
It was so artistic. We were given a chance that not very many actors are given, and we
especially
were
in a revival.
Yeah, and we were ready.
Done. Yeah,
we were ready.
And that's where, every character, like BD, as a very studious young character in Linus, like BD's thoughtfulness and the way in which he approached which strips he would choose for Linus, and then what Stanley Wayne Mathis, is he in this picture? Yeah. Can you guys see this? This is like the book report before Roger and Kristin come in with like the most amazing Mission Impossible number. There it is, right there. Like what Stanley chose, what Kristin chose to build Sally, and what Anthony chose for Charlie Brown really created the book that everyone does now when they do that musical.
Yeah, they do our version.
Yeah, and every night, Charlie Brown, our Anthony, would trump up to or trudge up, or whatever the word is, to the top.
I prefer trudge.
Yeah, not Trump.
I prefer trudge.
My point is, Kristin was on the top floor and Anthony was on the bottom floor, and he would go up and she would put his eyebrows on him and get him ready for that show. And we were all doing that for each other.
We did it. We were family, brother and sister.
Yeah.
Are the two of you still close with everybody else in the cast too?
We just did this 20th anniversary thing.
Right, at Broadway Con, right? That's what you're referring to? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're close. I mean, I wish I got to talk to Roger more. I don't know how you feel, Ilana, but I don't get to see. It's all good when we do talk, but every once in a while we'll get on a chain. Usually it's about politics, and we'll like vent. But I missed Roger. And I haven't got to talk to Stanley Wayne either. He used to bake for me all the time. Every show I was in, he would bring up these bakes. It's like, why aren't you owning a bakery? You're an incredible baker. Right. But I miss them. But we see each other, through the years.
I would say that so I did text Roger today to tell him that we were doing this, and also because I saw that he had a Snoopy footprint stamp that somehow I never realized, and I was like, why didn't we all have stamps for our autographs?
Why didn't we?
But he had a daughter. He was the first one of us to have children, and so he already had a daughter when we were doing that show. They are together now in New Jersey, quarantined together, and she's also in college, which is incredible.
That freaks me out.
I know. But I would say that the thing about this show, so I would say Anthony and me and you and BD maybe are the most consistently in touch with each other. But I give a kidney or any organ to any one of these people.
I take a bullet for any of them.
Yeah. And hopefully that we won't have to test that. But
I hope not. Please, Lord Jesus. No.
Actual thing.
No.
But it really is. Yeah. But I was trying to think of stories because, John, you had said that some of it would just be us sharing anecdotal stuff rather than a Q&A. And I do remember an Olive Garden incident. Kristin, why don't you tell them, do you enjoy boutique-y little off-the-road restaurants, or are you a girl who likes the chains?
I like the chains. I like to know what I've heard of. I know what I'm going to get. I love Olive Garden. I love Outback Steakhouse. I love Chili's. Oh, I love Chick-fil-A, especially now that they're good with the gays. I love like Potbellies. Oh.
So, which meant that lunch in between shows with Kristin, not sushi, not anything that she wouldn't have eaten as a 7-year-old in Oklahoma. It had to be something that if she ate it in Texas, Florida, Atlanta, or Jersey, it would taste exactly the same. So there was a lot of Olive Garden. And one day, and this is not to say that this would ever happen again, but we did not feel well. A lot of us went to lunch together, and a lot of us did not feel well at the same time, is all I'll say about that. But we're professionals, and we never missed a show, except maybe when you, me, BD.
He had diarrhea.
There were a lot of sick people. Tell them about the 3 show a day, like we were Rockettes on Saturdays.
So eventually, some of our producers, who we're very lucky that we have producers that weren't giving up on us, but they were like, look, we think that you guys should have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off. And we're like,
that sounds great.
What? That sounds great. Snow comes up, Charlie Brown's, it comes up.
Exactly.
So then they're like, but really, we need to add another show on the weekend. And I'm thinking, I'm doing the math. And I'm like, wonder where we'll put that.
Thursday matinee?
Thursday. And so, yes, Kristin, 1 on Thursday, 1 on Friday, and then 3 on Saturday. And I remember nearly coughing up a lung. I'm thinking, I don't even wake up until like 1.
No.
You want me to do a show at 10:30? Was it 10:30?
10:30, half hour for an 11 o'clock show. No.
We did that. And you know what? That was great because it helped our show, but it was also frustrating because Charlie Brown, though it is a kids show, it's actually very sophisticated by Charles Schulz. So the adults were taking their kids at that 11 o'clock show thinking that they were getting like the circus, when we were like doing our play. That was the time. That was the only time that I thought, I don't know about you, Lana, we've talked about it. It was the only time that kind of felt like, wah, wah. But I know the kids loved it. So, we did what we had to do.
I know. I remember feeling like Nancy Kerrigan, like going out to sign at 1:30 or whatever time we went out. I felt like there was, for that particular show, a feeling of like they went to Ice Capades or they came to our show, and there was sort of but I also remember it was really interesting playing Lucy, and a lot of mothers would come up to me, or fathers, and be like, oh, this is my daughter Karen, she's a Lucy. And I always felt like they were saying it like she's so bossy or she's so opinionated. And I remember trying to really instill in all of these parents who would say these things in front of their kids that, like, Lucy, as I saw her, was a feminist, someone who wasn't afraid to speak her mind. Maybe she could finesse it and be more politic in the way that she shared her ideas. But really, Lucy was mostly always right. And so rather than did she have to like pull? She couldn't help herself. She had like impulse control. Like she saw that football and she had to pull it away before he kicked it over and over again. And that's like that's not great. But the rest of the lessons that she was trying to teach were actually really valuable lessons about stop being shy, go after what you want. And I remember just really feeling like I wanted them to take their daughters who were, I don't know, not shy, and encourage them to speak their mind rather than sort of shaming them about it. So that was my like personal mission every time someone would be at the stage door sort of like winking at me.
I can remember you doing that and thinking that was so cool, because it's like what you were getting onto now, you will celebrate later, parent.
Yeah.
It was all fun and games until we had a big group come from out of town, big buses. Remember, Ilana? We always had those big buses, and we had buses come in. And then we were leaving. Ilana, remember, it was like it was maybe after the 1:30 show.
Yeah.
And the buses were lined up, and I walked out to go sign, and this lady was like, get on the bus. And I was like, no. And she was like pushing me. She was like, no, get on the bus. I was like, oh. Okay, so I'm in this line with kids, and I'm like, I don't want to go to school. So I'm getting on the bus because I've been told to get on the bus, and I'm on the bus, and all of a sudden this teacher comes up. She goes, I don't think you belong on the bus. I'm like, I know. They pushed me. They all tried to get me to go back, and I was Sally. And they're like, oh. Anyway.
That's hilarious.
It happened.
I feel like that was when I look back, like that was the early days of stage doors becoming a thing like that where we would spend hours signing and meeting everyone. And it was the beginning of musicals and stage door experiences. It's pre-social media in a way. You know, I feel like MySpace and those kind of Broadway chat rooms were first starting at that time, but that was one of the most joyous. People would be sobbing because they had just listened to Happiness. The show had just come down. Do you want to sing a little Happiness? I'm not going to, but could you sing just your little high school band?
Happiness is
playing the drum.
Playing the drums and
playing the drum in your own school band.
In your own school band. Happiness is 2 kinds of ice cream, knowing a secret, climbing a tree. Remember how sweet that song was? Happiness is. Oh, I think about Schulz all the time, and I know how proud he was of us. He didn't come see the show because he had the disease where he couldn't leave his compound, but he would let us know that he had heard and that he knew that everybody was perfect.
And his children always came. And then we sang at his memorial service, which was incredible. And we sang that song from Snoopy.
Happiness. Oh, it wasn't Happiness?
No. What's that? You guys probably know,
Suppertime?
Alan. No. The musical Snoopy, which is a whole other musical. And we had to learn this beautiful song that someone will know it. BD would know it if he were here right now.
BD would know it. He would know it.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I thought it was
really beautiful.
Happiness. Crap.
We sang Happiness at the Brooklyn Memorial for Clark Gessner. And then we did sing Happiness, but we also sang this other song. And I hadn't even known there was a whole other musical. Snoopy is the only reason I bring that up. But to meet his whole family and to have all of them just kind of let us know what it meant to Charles that we had done it. And it was just, that's a whole other world. They call him Sparky, and he had this whole Santa Rosa, California. Is that
Santa Rosa?
Yeah,
Santa Rosa, and we flew in, and we got to spend the night. And remember, we went and saw the ice skating rink that he had on his property.
Yeah, and the museum. It was like Sparky Town. Like the whole town was his town, and he had put so much into that town and so much into the people of that community. And anyway, his message lives on and on. You've done some things since then. Let me think. So after our show, you did that play with Alan Tudyk and Jeremy Davidson. I'm forgetting the name of it. That Jerry Zaks directed.
It was epic proportions. I loved it.
That happened. You were brilliant. I think, wasn't that the first play you did after our show?
Yes, because I was going to go do Millie. And then that was a short run. And then I went and did Kristin, the big hit sitcom.
Yes, but then there was, I'm trying to think, it was like a musical. It was based on there were these, I don't know, a witch. It was based on a really popular show, like a movie, and then the source material. Wicked!
That one.
Wicked!
That chestnut.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's right.
I feel like it would be really amazing if you took a minute. I mean, that's been a minute too since you did that show. Was it the 15-year anniversary that we went to recently?
Last year was 15, so it's 16 years now.
Right. That was incredible. Every Elphaba and
Glinda
came out, and Chills and handholding. Can you just talk a little bit about Alan, can I use some of this for my podcast too?
Please. I was like, this is amazing having a podcast host as one of the guests because John and I have said nothing. This is incredible.
Yeah. I'm the best host with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes on day one, what it's going to be, right? Like sometimes you're like, I'm not going to say it out loud, but this may end up being the biggest musical on the planet. And sometimes it catches you by surprise. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure your voice and Adina's voice, the way it blended right away, you knew vocally there was something magic here. But can you just talk a little bit about that show and what it was for you?
Well, when it first started, it was really just, I was doing the big hit sitcom Kristin, and Stephen Schwartz said,
look it up, people. Look it up.
Don't blink. Don't blink. I was doing this show and I was real tired, but he said that there's this there's this show called Wicked, and it's really about the Green Witch and her love interest. But there's a side character that is all about being popular, and I've written this song for you, and I really wish you'd just come do it for the reading. And I said, okay. So I did it, and we had one scene together where, at the time, it was Stephanie J. Block, where we're roommates, and we had a roommate song, not the one in the show, but a different one. And something clicked between Elphaba and Glenda, and they started going, it seems like it's about them. And it wasn't me going, I have to have a bigger part. It was literally like, okay, bye y'all. I'll see y'all Friday for the reading. So we did the reading. And then the next time we did the reading, Madame Morrible was the person that started out the show. They came and they said, we're going to have you kind of MC our show. I go, Glenda, how's that going to work? And they're like, she's going to be have the bigger arc now, because this friendship is going to be what it's going to be.
The centerpiece.
Yeah. And I was like, what? So just like with Charlie Brown, how you don't really know what the piece is going to be or what part you're playing, happened to me again in Wicked. And I think it actually turned out right. I think that a lot of people can relate to two women being together. And we also went out of town, and we also were a family, and we were also trying so hard because there were no rules. And Warner Brothers was doing it, and we couldn't do anything from the book, which were a lot of my funny lines. So the night before we opened, me and Winnie had to rewrite, but it was fun. It was really fun. And then still we were not completely accepted in San Francisco. So we went back to New York and rehearsed another month and came up with what you saw. And I think it's gotten better and better, frankly. We opened probably not exactly ready, but we opened where I knew it wasn't going to matter what the critics said. I knew that it was going to touch people, and especially women. So I knew it just wasn't going to matter.
And the song popular, the duet for good. I mean, there are so many songs from that show. They're I mean, for good, it's like they're wedding songs, right? I mean, they're such a part of the culture, or any kind of, I don't know, it was such an incredible commentary. And again, like a deep dive into don't judge a book by its cover in the most fascinating way. I think, I know Stephanie, and I forgot for a minute that story, but we talked recently about how had Adina not replaced her and then Stephanie not go out on the national tour, it was such heartbreak for her that it didn't quite happen at that moment. But she only would have met the love of her life, her husband, if the story had played out exactly in that way. Because when she then went on tour, that's when she met Sebastian. And it wouldn't have happened if the order of things had stayed the way they, right. And so it's such a lesson in, like, you think the most devastating professional thing, then you have to lick your wounds, and clearly things have worked out really well for her also.
I'm so happy.
I know, but it's such a lesson in, like, just trusting that the universe, it's not that it's not painful. Melissa Gilbert was just telling a story how she had really wanted the Miracle on 34th Street, that movie, and was devastated. And then her next audition was Little House on the Prairie, and how if she had gotten Miracle on 34th Street, which would have been, a great TV movie to be in or whatever, Little House on, like, you just never know. Do you have anything like that? Like, you thought, oh my God, I didn't get that, but then you got this other thing that kind of changed your life in ways you didn't expect?
I really I think it's important, especially to tell our young people that want to do what we do, is that when you audition, you still continue to audition no matter what level you're on. My meetings they might be called meetings, but we're still trying to get where we want to get. And I was pretty close and was on hold for a role in Hunger Games for several months. And I really wanted it. And I think it's okay to say that too. I really wanted it. And I went to the director's house several times, and we just played and ad-libbed, and it didn't go my way. They put me on hold for about 3 months. It didn't go my way. It went to a fantastic actress, Elizabeth Banks, who's incredible. And I thought, well, if I can't get like that part, that is so me, like, whatever. And then I got Pushing Daisies. on TV, and I realized it wasn't the Hunger Games, but it was supposed to be something unique and special and different. And
it was.
And it was. So each time those things have happened, I've learned. Or if I've had a decision to make, Annie, Get Your Gun, or Charlie Brown, or Young Frankenstein, or Pushing Daisies. You just have to follow your gut. So many times people say, I'm going to go with the for sure thing. Well, there are no more for sure things, especially after all of this. I think that we're discovering that when we re-entry, this world is going to be so different. And talk about no rules. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be rules, and it's going to be, the rules will be stringent. I mean, we will be doing, we'll be wearing masks and all this, but things usually happen the way they're meant to happen.
I think it's going to look like this. There's going to be 2 squares. And this is how we'll act.
This is Broadway.
We'll
all do Hollywood squares.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Can I be Betty White?
Yes. But we can continue. I'll be Pauline. We can continue to do things we love together. I want to thank you. I feel like you'll be Broadway and I'll be Bestie. I love you so much. And you have remained the most loyal, the first person to reach out when any major thing has happened in the world. And when any major thing has happened to me, there's no one in the world I feel like I can rely on when I really need them. We may have chunks of time where you're traveling and things, we're not in the same time zone, but I've never felt for one second that, like, if I send an SOS, you're always right there, and you really are my sister. And I can never stop thanking Michael Mayer. Every time I see him, I'm like, yes, that show, which will remain forever. I have had the honor of doing some really great writing in my life, but that show brought me my family. And we're so lucky. That doesn't always happen. And with such a small group, that could have gone in so many different directions.
Ways. We miss each other, and I miss her when she knows that, like I said earlier, I would lay down in front of traffic for any of them, but Ilana and I have just really been through it. I mean, we know, she knows if anything happened, I would rush over there right now. And I know that she would do the same for me.
Okay, but don't. Right now, you got to stay home.
I'm staying put, girl.
Stay safe.
I'm staying safe.
And Alan and John, thank you for
having us.
I guess we could have done this on FaceTime ourselves, but it's really nice. I put on makeup today. Yes,
I didn't.
I'm in pajamas from the waist down, but it's really nice to have an excuse to have something to look forward to, like this.
I know.
And hopefully raising money for the Actors Fund. So bid on that. Make a donation. Send a screenshot to who do they send a screenshot to, Alan, again, if they want to win this original signed playbill?
Feedback at bpn.fm. It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen.
Awesome.
I'm not wearing my glasses. I believe you.
So,
I am now.
Okay.
So as promised, there's a little one behind me right there.
Look at that little cute.
Oh, and he's got my hammer. Okay, don't hurt yourself. So as we're wrapping up, though, we're going to play a little game. We always wrap up these episodes with a little bestie game.
Oh, God.
So
I
how
got
this is
nervous.
Hey, don't hit the floor.
I'm nervous.
So how this is going to work is that I will give you 2 scenarios. Hey, I'm serious. Stop hitting the floor.
If I had a hammer.
So it'll be like, would you rather do A or B? And then at the same time, you have to both say what you would do. And if you say different things, then we have a bonding moment for you to do.
Okay. Is that hammering going to happen the whole time? I don't mind. I just need to know. I just need to know.
I will mute when I'm not talking.
No, don't. Okay. No, but it was like a good rhythm, and I just wanted to keep boom, but boom.
Okay. So the first scenario is, now don't answer yet. So would you rather be able to control your dreams or be able to switch places with any person for a day? So we'll go 1, 2, 3, and at the same time say your answer. So it's would you rather be able to control your dreams or be able to switch places with any person for one day? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Switch
places with another person for one day.
Besties.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Now more than ever, you know who that person would be.
Okay, so now would you
My God. Yes. Okay.
would you rather be able to show up in other people's dreams or only need to sleep one night per month?
I don't understand. Would I be tired?
No, would you
Like,
would
it
you
affect
rather
my health in any way if I only slept one night a month?
No,
Or is that
no.
like the normal of the universe?
No,
you've
you're
created?
just a superhuman and you only
Oh.
need to sleep one night per month, or would you rather be able to show up in other people's dreams? So
Show up in
one-
other
in
people.
other people's dreams.
Okay,
Sorry.
good.
Yes. Same.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, good. I went too quick. Okay.
No. But we both feel that way. We would want
We
to be
both
in
do.
other people's dreams. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Would you rather have a talking dog or always know when someone is lying? 1, 2, 3.
Have a talking dog.
dog.
This
Oh
is
my
gonna
God,
be any fun if you.
I wish my dog could talk.
Me too. My dog does speak to me subliminally. Yes. We have full-on conversations. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So we're gonna do 2 more, and then we can go to some of the questions that were texted in.
Okay, but I just
Okay.
want to ask Kristin one question. Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever talked to a pet psychic or a dog psychic? Have you had that experience?
Yes. Have you? Have you?
No, but
Oh, I
wanna
did
ask
it.
you.
I did it with Maddie before she was dying.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, we will talk about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we shall.
All
Was
right.
Maddie a pet?
Yes.
Madeline Chenoweth was my Maltese. Oh, I loved her.
Oh.
I loved her so
The
much.
sweetest. The sweetest.
And Thunder has gotten into her ashes and eaten her. I was like, we are not Hannibal.
I assume Thunder's
Yes.
another dog.
Thunder is my other dog. So and Maddie's been put up, and you can't even write it. You can't
I
even.
feel like can we cut that out?
Yeah, we're
I
not
feel like
live.
we're gonna get letters.
I didn't mean to. It
happens.
came from Canada, and then she got in there. What am I going to say?
Nothing. It's actually beautiful. It's actually beautiful.
Yeah, she has a part of her in her.
Okay.
Yes.
So 2 more. Would you rather be able to would you rather be able to be in 2 places at once or have a photographic memory? 1, 2, 3.
Photographic memory.
Oh, want you guys to do a bonding moment. Okay. So last one. Would you rather be able to make yourself invisible or be the best dancer in the world? 1, 2, 3.
Well, she is the best. She's already the best dancer. She's the best dancer in the
You
world.
are too. Would you want to be invisible
Okay,
for a
here it is.
second?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Invisible.
Invisible.
But we'll do the bonding moment anyway.
Yeah, I don't buy that. Okay.
Okay.
So now your bonding moment. Besides, by the way, this is the Best Friends Challenge bonding moments from Jimmy Fallon. So,
Ooh.
yeah, we're completely stealing from Jimmy Fallon right now.
Okay.
He would not mind. He's the nicest person.
Yes.
Yeah, he wouldn't
Okay.
care.
So now you need to have a conversation in a made-up language for 10 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. You start.
Gone, man.
Eyes say going
Iste hari on ati forestera miro pakala are forda.
I don't want to lay. I said, but okay.
Okay. I
As a
don't know the podcast.
But I better go to the podcast.
I love it. Okay. So one of the questions actually that I really like that was texted in is Kristin, do you have any advice for your fans who have special needs?
Oh, I have so many special needs. Advice for my fans who have special needs.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, it's something whether you have special needs or not have special needs. I had some interesting things go on when I was little with health and stuff. And my mom always just said, stay tough, save those tears on the for when you get home and cry. You toughen up, and then you're going to be able to handle life. And I know that sounds harsh, but it sounded harsh then too, but it has really served me with being able to handle. I'm not saying that meltdowns aren't allowed, but it's been helpful. Just accept who you are and stay tough. Everybody's got their Achilles heel. Every single person I know.
I also think more and more, and so many changes have to happen. And I know this question is for Kristin, but I'm reminded I have an actor friend named Ryan J Haddad who stars in the Netflix series The Politician. And he just did this incredible one-man show at Joe's Pub. And he's had, he has cerebral palsy. He was born with and has had a lot of physical limitations that people put on him, and real limitations because of his cerebral palsy. And he had a dream to be an actor. And with the support and love of a very special family, he has an unbelievable family, but they sort of told him, whatever it is you want to do, we're going to support you and help you get there. And I feel like so often, obviously, we all have real limitations in all sorts of ways. But I think if you have love in your life and belief and people around you to support you, mountains can be moved. So if you have a dream, don't let anyone tell you can't do it. And hopefully the rest of the world will catch up to your unique specialness. And the word special needs, the word special is what will be highlighted, not the needs, because of your unique gifts as a human. And so I would just say, don't let anyone tell you can't do anything. There's room at the table for everyone in every profession.
That's right. That's right. And there are no more rules. There are no more rules. So might as well go for it.
I love that. And that was such a special night at the pub, Ilana. I know we went to that together. It was just one of those moments where, it was just cathartic and inspiring, and really proud of Ryan for overcoming some of these obstacles and sharing his story with us all in such a brave and triumphant way.
And then Ryan Murphy just writing a part where a character had cerebral palsy, and that's it. There's not one part of what that character does that has anything to do with it.
With him, exactly right.
Right, like he's a kid in high school and he has a walker, and other than that, they just went on with the narrative of that show. So there are things like that happening in the world, and the Ryan Murphys of the world who open doors, and and those are really exciting things to think about as we move forward.
One of our fans is asking, is it hard to stay in touch with such busy careers? You both are just such extraordinary artists, and sometimes these projects take you to different time zones and different parts of the country. Do you have any tips for how to keep in touch? I know social media must help, but is there anything that you might want to share with our fans?
Well, I mean, much to Laverne's chagrin, I do Marco Polo. And usually those videos come in about 2 or 3 in the morning because I'm a night owl.
And also there is a time difference, but Kristin doesn't always realize which we're not all in her time zone. You know what? Kristin is exemplary in terms of someone who I really do not know how she is human. So that game you did before, like superhuman skills, she only sleeps 1 hour a month. I'm not kidding. Look if you go to Kristin's website and see the number, obviously this moment in time has made everyone slow down in different ways. And that might be one of the things we're grateful for when we look back on this very scary time, if, people can get healthy. Is that she does more in a day than any, we're doing this now. I'm sure Chris did 40 of these already today to help raise money and awareness for causes that she cares about. And I feel like that's not to say that there aren't moments where I'll text her and she's on a plane or someplace where her phone doesn't work. But I think what I learned from Kristin, if the busiest person on the planet always can get back to me, then I have no excuse to not get back to someone. And it's about priorities.
Yeah.
It's just about deciding.
And who your true sister is. Like Ilana's my sister. The heartbreak for me, just personally, the one that just happened, you know, Ilana always comes to my shows. She comes to my concerts. She comes, sees me and everything. She's such a support system. And I always know that she's going to tell it to me. Like I'll say, how was it? Or, you know, she'll tell it to me. She's like, get over here and sit on my lap. You know, she's that friend. She just had a play at Manhattan Theater Club, and I had tickets to surprise her. I was actually going to be in town one night, and Josh, my boyfriend, and I were so excited. We were surprising her, and that's the day they called everything. Yeah. And I'm thinking, you know, of all the times that I've wanted to go see Ilana, and now here we are, and I can actually go, and now we have COVID-19. So me personally, it's a total bummer, but when she gets back to it, I'll be able to surprise her again. But we're supportive of each other, and I think one of the hard things for me is to watch that I'm close with her family, but I don't get to see them on a day-to-day. So I watch Georgia, and I watch everybody grow up. And
on TikTok.
On TikTok. On TikTok.
On TikTok. Where else? Wait, what's Georgia's TikTok? I can't remember. Is it just Georgia?
It's Georgia. It's Georgia. Isn't it Georgia _, like Levi or something?
Something like that. That's where we live, really. That's where the important work is happening.
I'm doing challenges with their family all the time, but I miss that. You know, I miss that. But we text a lot, and there is not too many days that go by that we don't check in.
Yeah. So I love you.
I love you, sis.
And your surprise was a little muted because the flowers arrived just as the play got canceled. So I was like, why do I have these flowers? So in my heart, I knew you were coming. I love you. Alan and John, thank you for letting us.
Thanks for having
I hope
us.
it wasn't too boring just listening to us go on. But we love you.
We loved it. This was a great conversation to have.
Thank you both, and thank you all for tuning in again. We'll keep the donation open through the end of the day, so get your screenshot into feedback at bpn.fm, and you can find more great events like this at bpn.fm/townhall. So Kristin, Ilana, John, thank you so much. It was wonderful to see all of you.